Welcome back to the Exchange Place podcast, y'all. Hey, y'all. We are back. And today I have a heavy hitter in the building for you. You heavy. You ain't a heavy hitter. Say hey to the audience.
Hi. Hi, all.
Yeah. So you're new to the show.
Yes.
New to the exchange, but you are not new to me.
Yes.
I love you dearly.
I love you too.
I have known you pretty much all my life.
That's true, 'cause
I've known you since high school.
Since high school.
Yeah, and we ain't gonna tell the people how long that was. We don't want to talk about. We'll need to talk about that. But I've known you the majority of my life.
That's true.
And I'm so happy to have you. So for the audience, we have Nicole Ellis in the building. She is such a precious jewel to me. I'm so glad that you were able to make it. You were actually supposed to be on the show a little bit earlier in the season, but we're both pursuing, being a therapist.
Yes.
And between that and all the amazing things that you're doing,
Yes.
and Women with Swag and all that.
My baby.
Yeah, so I'm so glad that you came on because you are actually closing out the season for me.
That's big.
Yeah. You know what they say, save the best for last? That's what they say, right?
Well, I hope I don't disappoint.
Nah, you definitely don't do that. We often have these exchanges.
We do.
And
Very deep conversations.
Very deep conversations.
And it can go on and on.
For hours.
Yes.
So we're gonna let them eavesdrop a little bit. A little
can't
something.
tell them everything.
You can't say everything. We can't share everything.
No.
But last month we did the men and getting their perspective. So I thought it would only be right because we're really, really trying to bridge the gap between how we communicate to how we see things, just getting the opposite sex's view on that.
Yes.
So I thought it'd be a good idea to talk about communication.
Which is needed.
It's
needed, guys.
needed. It's like beyond needed.
Right.
Right? Like we have to communicate.
Yes.
But I thought it would be, because I always feel like this feeling of, do you hear me? Like, I know you hear me. You hear the sound of my voice. You hear do you hear the words that are coming out of my mouth? But kind of, are we hearing one another when we're communicating? And I know for me, I know that there are, like, bad communication has ended some really good things. And potential to be really good things, but because we're unable to communicate, and effectively, let me just say that, communicate, things fall apart if we can't communicate. Quick, break down.
Right.
So I would ask you, like, what do you think, how do you think women, first of all, communicate? Like, how are we normally communicating with one another or the opposite sex?
With our feelings and emotions.
Child.
We are straight from feelings and emotions. However we're feeling, that's what we go with. That's our flow.
Yeah.
So if we're angry, we're angry.
Yeah.
You know? If we're sad, we're sad. If we're happy, we're happy.
Yeah.
You know, we often don't take that time out to step back and really analyze the situation for what it is.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of validity in what you just said. I think we're emotional creatures.
Very.
Like, and most women don't admit that because people are like, I ain't in my feelings. No, you ain't, child, you in your feelings.
Right.
You in your feelings.
I see it.
We feel deeply. And a lot of that comes out through us trying to communicate. And sometimes you get all of the emotion and less of what we're really trying to say, right? Because men, on the other hand, they just want to fix the problem.
Right. They just flat out, this is this, this is red, that's it. No, I said that's red. That's it. Whereas we're like, what No, but when you say red, are you saying?
I think you know what happens, and this is just again my perspective. I think men see the highlights, and women see the details.
Very much so.
So we're like, no, you text me at this time and this happened and that happened, and we're not. And for the man, they're just like, okay, I did whatever, but I just want to get to the fix part. Where sometimes we're not even wanting them to fix it necessarily.
Just to acknowledge.
Right. To hear us in that particular place, to really, try and understand us, because I know that this is me, definitely. I always want to be understood.
Yes.
I always want to be understood. Even if you don't agree, I want to be
heard.
Yeah, I want to be heard. So I think as women, because we got a whole bunch of them listening, right? So what would we tell them, like, when we're in when somebody's in their feelings, right? What should be that process? Like, how, you know what I mean? How should we approach those difficult conversations to have with either our significant other or maybe even at work? Like, how do we approach that?
I know for myself, that whole I have to step back thing.
Yeah.
Because I have realized over the years, everything that I see is not really always what it is.
Okay.
Right?
Got you.
So.
And what you mean by it's not really what it is?
So, just like you said, I mean, just like we just conversed about, he may say, oh no, it's red, and we're looking way, way deeper than what it really is. You know, or somebody's intentions may have meant this, but we see that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I think that's the part to where we have to find a way to communicate, because we're both analyzing the situation, but two different ways.
Yeah,
and it doesn't make
lenses.
You wrong or me wrong. We just see it two different ways.
Yeah, I got you.
So it's just about us being respectful, listening.
Yeah.
But ultimately, we have to step back. So, like, I just got into a little relationship.
Oh, hey now. You take it off the market?
Yeah. Hopefully for good.
For good.
We're moving towards for good.
Sir, she's a keeper for good.
For good.
For good.
So, I knew him for years.
Got you.
And when we first got together, I was like, okay, so he's a nice guy. I'm a nice girl. Okay, let's see where this goes. But it wasn't that easy.
Oh, no. It's not. Child, is it ever that easy?
It was not. I'm like, he's laid back. I'm laid back. All right. So,
it's just work.
It's just like you. I say what I say. You say what I say. It doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
And I quickly learned that.
Gotcha.
Right? So I think definitely in the beginning we had to learn each other, and we're learning each other. So we both were raised two different ways.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So how he deals with things and see things is differently from how I deal and see.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we had to get past that, and we're still getting past that, because again, it's just new.
Yeah, and it's a learning process, like you said. Like, I love that you mentioned how you grew up and how he grew up is different.
Yes.
Because I often think that we don't necessarily take that into account, that a lot of our communication skills are things that we learned as children.
Right.
Right? How you communicated. You ever been around somebody who yells? I used to be a yeller. You were a yeller too. I used to be but I grew up in a household where yelling was kind of normal.
Right.
Like,
and felt like the louder I yelled, the more you should hear me.
Child, if you hear the voice that comes out of this body, and I know people who are listening who really know me have heard it, it literally would scare you.
Yeah. I was with Kalisha over the weekend.
Yeah.
Kalisha's a girl that we went to school with as well. And she was like, you used to scare me. Like, what do you mean?
Uh-oh, wait a minute.
So, so I really felt like if I yelled and screamed it out, that you should hear me more.
Yeah.
In reality, it doesn't work like that.
That doesn't work.
What actually happens is the person closes
Yeah, they shut
close
down.
up.
They shut down. Depending on how they were raised, or if you meet somebody who is a yeller too, now you just have two people
You just
screaming at
barking.
each other.
You're just barking. Just making noise. Everybody's just making noise.
And nobody's like really effectively communicating.
No.
And I've been there. I've actually learned to kind of what you said, stop, process, because that voice is still in my head, if I'm honest.
Right.
It attacks. It just no longer comes out of my mouth. Because I'm like processing what I'm feeling. I'm processing those emotions instead of letting those emotions out. I've gotten to a place that I understand, like, hey, my emotions are going to happen. They are. But they can get in the car. They just can't drive.
Right.
They can't drive. They can't get in the front seat and they can't drive. They need to say, we're back there. You know what I mean? So I can process. And feeling is okay. I don't think the emotional part is the problem. I think it's how we really articulate that to the people that we love. And I'm learning. It's so funny because I think over these last 3 years have been transformational for me. Right. Not in only opposite sex relationships, well, still opposite sex, but even with my children. I know my kids would say, and Lord knows they're probably listening, that there was a time that voice would come and the whole house would it's like this tense. You know, my kids are kind of laid back and quiet, and I would just be like, and let loose. So I'm learning how to process that even when I'm angry, not to like handle and try and resolve whatever the issue is, because having those difficult conversations can be, you know what I mean? It can be a lot.
Right. One thing about it is you can't fix yourself in one relationship and not fix it throughout.
Oh, yeah. Everything's interconnected.
Right. So you can be in a relationship with your partner.
Yeah.
And you're working on it, but then go to work and you're acting up. No.
Yeah.
When you're going through the whole process of changing, because the thing about it is we have been so way for so long, and now that we know better, we have to do better, and that's going to take just as long as it took us to get the way the way that we were. You know, so if it took you 10 years, if you were this way for 10, 15 years, it's going to take you
30 or 40
to get it right.
Yeah.
You know, to get it right. So the thing about it is, we definitely, because now we know better.
Yeah.
You know,
we definitely have to do better.
We have to do better.
Yeah.
You know, and it starts off with communication.
Yeah.
Communication is big.
I love that even more because I think that so often we're really hard on ourselves, and hard on. I think for women, I would say this to the women that are listening, to give the men a little bit of a break. I know that there's such an attack on men, and like he has to get it right. He has to know how. I often say to one of my friends, like, oh, he should know. We have this and I used to have this, people can read our minds. They are not psychic. They are not. They don't know what we're thinking.
Right.
And we will be in our feelings even more, thinking that the other person actually knows how we feel.
Right. Meanwhile, we haven't communicated any of that. We definitely have, because at the end of the day, when it comes to communication, right, I can't control what you do.
Yeah.
I can't control what you do. I can only control what I do, right? So when that time comes, we literally have to get into ourselves and in tune with ourselves.
Yeah, yeah.
Once we do that, because at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, and again, me being in a relationship, and I'm learning this as we go.
Yeah.
I'm learning.
As you should.
Guys, I'm learning this now.
Yeah.
Like seriously, I'm really learning it now. But I honestly realize that it's about you. It's about you as an individual, because the opposite person on the other end, they're going to do what they want to do, when they want to do it, how they want to do it. You cannot control them, but you sure can control your behavior and how you respond to what the other person is doing. So most of all, out of any and everything, because you could get another man.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You could get another job.
You can get another job.
But if you're carrying that same behavior everywhere that you go, that's an issue.
Yeah. I love
That's
like
an issue.
I absolutely love that. That's great advice because there's a saying, and I'm probably going to get this wrong, that it doesn't matter where you go, it doesn't matter what state you change, you take you everywhere.
Everywhere.
You take you everywhere.
Everywhere.
And people kind of you bump into that same wall in probably all of those relationships. That's why people have difficult coworker relationships. They have difficult relationships because they haven't fixed that part.
Right.
And normally that partner is a mirror to what that issue is.
Right.
They
That's
magnify
true.
it. You like, oh, is that me?
Right.
Like, whoa. But I think that's great advice to, look at you.
Right.
And take time with you. Be patient with you. But once you're aware, now you're responsible for that.
You have to hold yourself accountable.
Yeah.
It was the saying that I do when I started my process of change, when I realized I got sick and tired of being sick and tired of who I was. Like, reality is, like, for some people that knew me or didn't know me, on the outside, it looked like I had it all together.
Yeah.
But in the inside, I was like a hot mess.
Yeah.
Right?
Been there.
So one day I'm like getting out the shower. I was like butt naked getting out the shower, and it's a mirror standing in front of me, and I'm like, I do not like you. I said that like this really happened. I was like, I don't like you.
Don't like the person in the mirror.
I did not.
I think everybody goes through that. I won't say everybody, but
yeah, I didn't like me.
Yeah.
So if you didn't like me, I understood.
Yeah.
I did not like me, and it took me to really dig deep inside of who I was.
Yeah.
Right? And
intentionality.
Right. And that was hard.
Yeah.
Because now I have to face everything that I've been running from. Because that's what it was. All this was together on the outside, but on the inside it was very, very dark. Yeah. So now I have to go in there and figure out what that thing is.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what I did. I took out time. I went to therapy.
Yeah.
I talked to friends.
Yeah.
I did all of that because because it's like I wanted to get better. Like I was like, my desire was to get better. Like I wanted to be a better version of me, and I knew that I could.
Yeah,
I knew that I could.
Healing is ugly. I want to say that because I everybody's like, oh, I want to be healed. I want to heal these broken pieces. But to go and look yourself in the mirror, I always say that's the toughest thing that I've ever done for me.
Right.
It's the best thing that I've ever done for me, but it's probably. Yeah, it's one of the toughest places that I've been that, like you said, people outside don't know what goes on the inside.
Right.
So you could look a certain way. It could be masked with drinking, going out, all the finer things, you know what I mean, that people get to see outwardly. But the inward parts and I said this on the other show, like there used to be a period of time that I would go places and be, and get in my car and cry the whole way home.
Right.
And for a period of time, I really didn't know what that was or why that was, or like, I'm just like, I didn't feel beautiful. I just didn't feel good. I didn't feel good about who I saw. I didn't feel good about the woman that, people were like, oh, yay. And I'm just like, I don't like her.
Right.
I don't like her. She can be ugly. She can be, you know what I mean? And I had to... Like, people are going to, if you want to heal, I will not tell you that it's going to be easy.
No,
it's not going to be easy.
It's not easy.
And it's not going to look pretty.
No, it's not. And some days you're going to have so many questions. And some days you're going to want to give up.
Yeah.
So, like, that, all of this goes apart with you being a great communicator, believe it or not.
No, it does.
It really does.
It does.
Because it's like you have to be whole. You have to be in a position that you want to heal and listen.
Yeah.
And listen in order for growth.
Yeah.
Like in order for growth.
What's funny, and I'm glad you brought it back to communication, because I was about to say that. Think about, and I'm not sure if you were in relationships then. I know that I kind of had, and not really serious relationships, but relationships that I was trying to be in. But imagine being in a relationship and trying to communicate with that broken person.
Right.
Right.
So in the midst of all of this, I ended up getting into a situation. Not
Okay.
gonna call it
We're going to call it a situationship. Y'all know that song.
Right. So I ended up getting into a situation that I didn't want anything from out of it.
Okay.
And at that particular time, I was cold. I didn't know
Yeah.
how to love. Love had ran out.
Wow.
I had no desire to love. I had no desire to be in love. It wasn't that. I was just going with the flow.
What put you in that relationship then? If you had no desire, was it just something to do? Because I think, and I'm asking for the guests. I'm also asking because I'm curious, but I think a lot of us do that. Like sometimes you're not, good and well, that you're not ready for a relationship yet. What does that feed, I guess, in you? Or what was that feed?
Yeah,
just
not. I mean, because
somebody.
when you're going through a transition, and you're, believe it or not, I don't care how many people you think is around that person. You're alone.
Yeah.
You're lonely.
Even in a room full of people.
Even so.
Yeah.
So you're lonely. So I was just doing it to occupy my time.
Wow.
Right?
Stop occupying your time, ladies.
Yeah. For real. And
it's a dangerous space.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. Because then a whole bunch of stuff can come out of that. You get pregnant. You can get, some people end up getting married or whatever, being in a situation longer than it should have been.
Supposed to be.
And you didn't supposed to be in the first place, you know? So, so getting into that, I walked in not wanting anything. Not wanting anything because I was just so cold and so hard.
Yeah.
You know? And that was the process of me just dealing, and God had to tear people away from me.
Yeah.
Because some people I didn't want to let go, and I knew that I should have let go because they were interfering with the process.
With the growth.
They were interfering.
Yeah.
Right.
As you heal and as you grow, there is a tremendous, what I call pruning of people, places, and just everything. And I think everybody who has either gone through the process or in the process, you almost feel like the rug is being snatched from up under you. That's the only way I could kind of describe it from me. Because what you're used to doing, it no longer fulfills that place. Right. So like that company that you desired at that place, it's like, doesn't matter how many times I'm around you, I still feel empty. I still feel alone. Doesn't matter how much I drink, I still feel empty. I still feel alone. And for me, I know it took me having really hard conversations and difficult conversations with people who I know in the season of my life felt really close to me or really close to that version of me. And I was becoming something else. And in order to become that thing, like you said, you had to shed that skin. It was like...
I did. And it was hard.
Yeah.
It was hard.
Yeah.
Because at the same time, you don't understand.
Yeah. And sometimes you can't explain it.
You can't explain it, and you don't understand.
Yeah.
But the same token, you got to keep moving.
Yeah.
You got to keep pressing, and you have to keep going.
Yeah.
Because growth is happening, but seriously... but you still so confused when it's happening and when it's going on. Because at the same token, this is growth season.
Yeah.
But the same token, my girlfriend or my boyfriend or whatever does something to me, I'm offended by it.
Yeah.
Because for that split second, we totally forgot that about the growth process.
Yeah.
And then maybe God, this is what he's trying to do. He's trying to push us in the...
push you forward.
Right.
Yeah.
And we're still holding on.
Yeah.
We're still holding
on. And
on.
everybody can't go.
No, everybody can't go.
Everybody can't go.
They can't.
Yeah.
Because
just
hard. Like you don't understand, they don't understand either. Then you can't explain it to them.
Yeah. I've actually had a couple of conversations where I just had to be very frank about what was going on when I got understanding. I definitely agree there was a period of time I just I couldn't place it, so I was trying to figure it out myself. But I think it got to a point where I know that there were people in my life that didn't understand. Like they were just like, "Hey, we always do this," and I was. I just
can't do that anymore.
I was like, I can't do that no more.
It doesn't feel good.
It doesn't
feel
feels good.
Awkward. It feels like you're out of place.
Yeah.
I've been doing this. I've been around these people.
Yeah, and it felt good at a point, and now it doesn't.
And now
anymore.
It's like, this feels weird.
Yeah.
And if I can feel it, I know doggone well the person I'm with can feel it.
Everybody can't feel it. Let me tell you that.
No, because I shift.
Yeah.
Like I shift.
Yeah.
You know,
can get energy and everything.
Yeah.
Just tells that story.
And
Yeah.
I definitely shift because I'm like, before I was like, now I'm like,
you tight in here, like,
you know.
I remember being in those places.
Yeah, you're like, what's
what
wrong?
am
You
I
ready to
doing
go?
here?
And I'm like, no, I'm good. No.
Communicate.
But I couldn't explain it.
Yeah.
Like, because this is what I norm. This is what we
Yeah.
normally do.
Yeah.
And so, and I couldn't communicate it.
So after that process of like, now you've shed everybody. Now you've taken on the journey. And I say that healing is an ongoing journey, guys.
Never
does
stops.
not stop.
Never stops.
The more I learn about myself, the more I feel like I don't know
I have to fix
and what
something.
I need to fix. I'm just like, man, I thought I mastered that. But I feel like every time I get to a place that I feel like I mastered certain things, that I have a test of that thing, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not exactly where I was supposed to be.
Right.
Let me go and rethink.
Redo this again.
Let me redo this one more time, and let me relearn what I needed to probably learn last time that I didn't get to do. I love that they always say this, it's two sides to every story, right?
Right.
In this season, recently actually, I had a friend of mine say to me an old situation that, you know, came back up and was like, hey, I saw this way. And I was like, what? Like, you know what I mean? And this is what I mean about effective communication, right? What we were talking about, something that seemed, I mean, like, this small to me was this large to him.
Right.
And thank God I'm at a place to even receive that. And to be able to really, I was listening, and I wasn't listening, because most of the time we actively listening, but we just waiting. It's like double dutch. You're like, when can I get in?
Get my turn, because I have something to say.
You're like, hold up.
Taking notes, like.
You're like, that wasn't right. That wasn't right. That was on this date,
You
right?
just want to get your point across.
Just want to say what you want to say.
Without listening.
And I'm so glad for last month and being able to sit in this room with different men, married, single, in relationships, just younger men, like to really listen to them. And I did. And I'm so thankful because, again, I passed. Right? So in this conversation, I was like, because initially this was me. And I was just like, and I'm like, wow. We missed it. So it was kind of like what you said and what I heard were two totally different things. Like the filter of which I funneled that information through said nothing of what he was articulating, right? And I couldn't challenge it because I'm like, feelings are valid. I know people argue with that. They are. That's how you feel.
It is.
Doesn't mean that I totally agree with them or I have the lens to look at that particular situation in the same manner. However, they're valid because you feel them. You know what I mean? So you want to take and you want to be, people want to be heard and want to be understood. And it just blew my mind because I was like, man, this little, again, what I would say it was a little thing was very large. And I was like, how often does that happen? How often?
That happens a lot.
Yeah.
So because that's where the miscommunication comes in.
Yeah.
At, right? So again, when it comes to especially man and woman.
Yeah.
Two totally different creatures.
Yeah.
Right?
Totally different.
two totally different creatures. So the thing about it is, like, if we don't take the initiative to really step back and say, you know what, I need for him to hear me. Yeah. And another thing that I use, I don't say you anymore.
Okay, what you mean?
I said we. So let's act like you do.
Okay, hold on, because I'm about to learn something. Okay.
All right. So let's say you went out last night and you stayed out last night.
Okay.
You know. So instead of me saying, well, you went out last night and you didn't call me because what happens is that wall.
Yeah.
Right?
Because it's like you're pointing.
So,
you.
Right. So it's like, I feel like we should do better in this area if we desire for our relationship
Come on
to
and
go.
drop them gems.
any further.
Yeah.
So what do we have to do? Because this cannot continue.
Wow.
So
That's good.
Different response.
Yeah.
It works, and I hope my boo not listening.
Look, he listening. He listening. He listening. I'm sure he
gonna
listening.
be like, oh, she trying to trick me.
No, but that's not a trick. That is no. What you said is that's not at all a trick. It's a very accurate depiction of what you're asking
because
for.
I'm no longer attacking him.
Yeah,
and it gives us that room to be able to hear each other.
Yeah, I like
exactly
that.
where we're at.
When I get a boo, I'm gonna try it.
No, do it.
I'm
like
gonna try
it works.
I'm gonna try
works.
it.
It makes it softer. And then sometimes though, you can't try it when we're.
Yeah, when you're there. Yeah.
You can't try. So you have to cool down.
Yeah. I think exchanges at this level don't work.
No.
I really try, and I have not mastered this yet. Mm-hmm. But I really try when I feel like this to like
right.
Because I feel like when you're here, it just escalates.
Right. And sometimes us women, we want to talk about it right now. Like we want
I used to be her.
Right. Like we want to talk about it right now.
Yeah.
Like, right now. Yeah. And you know what, guys? Like, no.
Take a minute.
Take a minute, right? That's that whole step back.
Step back. Yeah.
Analyze the situation. And you just might be right.
Yeah.
It's not that you're wrong. But when you speak to him or her, you want them to be able to hear you.
Yeah.
Right? You don't want to say it just to be saying it, because ultimately we are
having need to work on it. Yeah, whatever it is.
We are saying it for even though we're screaming, we're really saying it because we want them to hear.
Yeah.
But if we take it down a little bit, give the situation time, and then come revisit it.
Yeah.
You'll get a different response.
Yeah, I think something in that is so good. All of that is good, but I think tone matters so much. And men who are listening, when you come to your woman, I know for a fact, and this is just me, if I'm approached, and I think it's both genders, but I'm going to address the men first, that the manner and the tonality that is under that, like there is, and men have a harsher voice. You know what I'm saying? So if there's any type of,
but we like, no, cause see, So
but that's active. That. You got to learn how to listen.
Yeah.
And I know, and that probably feels like a, but people listening.
Yeah, it's like irritating.
But it's like you really have to learn how to listen and not. I don't even want to say nag, because I don't know if it's nagging. I feel like it's more of wanting to be heard, just kind of our tone that comes along with it, because you're trying to get everything in and everything out at that particular time.
The thing about it is we're so passionate about what we are saying.
Yeah.
Because we truly, whether we're wrong or right or indifferent, we truly believe everything that we're saying. So we're so passionate about it. And so what happens is it comes behind it. The passion, it comes behind the tone. And that's what make us
go up.
Go up. Right?
Yeah.
Because, and ultimately it's because we want the other person to hear us.
Yeah. And I think too, sometimes we just want to be right. And if we in relationships, and I'm not in,
I do that now. Now I'm like, I won that argument, didn't I?
But you know what? When you get in that, and this is my plan. I'm gonna have to practice this, and when I get a boo, he gonna have to tell you if I'm doing well, right? Okay. But when I meet my husband, I really want to not focus on being right, but focus on understanding and hearing, because I feel like sometimes that's where the passion comes from, is like, I'm right, you wrong.
Right.
And the what you talked about earlier of like you.
Because it's like,
and the blame game.
Do you want the relationship or do you want to be right?
Yes.
So you have to pick
that.
Right. So you have to be able to pick and choose your battles.
Yeah.
So the thing about it is, like, you have to be soft when it comes to.
Tell the women that one more time.
You have to be soft. And soft doesn't mean being submissive either.
So but no, we got to talk about submission. We're going to go real quick, and then we're going to come back. Because submission is like a curse word in this day and age. One of my brothers that came on the show, he talked about that in his marriage, that his mentor told him that him and his wife had to be submissive one to another. And I think that is the part we miss with submission, that we're in this day and age where it's like women, and I love women. I'm one, right? I love independence. But I also feel like in society, we're getting fed like, oh, well, that means you don't need a man. Nah. We were created to make beautiful music together when we're able to effectively communicate. You know what I mean? And being submissive to one to another doesn't just apply in opposite sex relationships. Where I'm submissive to you as a friend, like one to another. There's reciprocity in my relationships. I love that. I can't wait for that you know what I mean, when my husband comes. I can't wait for that because it looks very different. It's protection. It's safe. It's not, hey, this particular person is going to be over me and now I have to listen to everything that they say. But you do have to take this, no different than you if you said, hey, Deb, this is what's going on in this particular situation, and you have a different lens than I do. The reason that you're telling me that is for what? My protection. Don't go that way. You know what I mean? Or don't do that, because I've been that route. It's not a attack. It's not I'm over you in that sense. It's just that I trust you enough to be able to be submissive one to another. You know what I'm saying?
But seriously, trust, that's what it is.
Yeah.
That's it. Knowing that you can be that without being judged.
Wow.
Without being looked down upon.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Without being talked about.
Yeah.
Right? And when you go left, right? Because the thing about, none of us are perfect. We are not perfect, right?
No.
And I know, like, even in my relationship, we went down that road.
Gotcha.
And so, like, now, this whole submissive thing, it's pleasing to the person just as well as a person.
Yeah, it's being pleased. Yeah, listen, trust.
But it's trust. Like, you have to trust that person.
Yeah.
Like, if you don't have trust, it's absolutely not gonna happen. Because I was there too. Because in the beginning, trust was an issue.
It is, yeah.
So you want me to come home and cook for you and rub your feet? Who you was texting or who,
Yeah.
Because trust
plays a role in everything. It plays a role in how we communicate with each other, how truthful we are when we communicate. I think women tend to, and I'm not sure because I'm not a man, I can't speak to their side, but I know that sometimes we're taking record of incidents and literally waiting for opportunity. So that's why the communication is sometimes not effective, because when something happens, you don't want to, and now pick your battles, ladies. Don't, pick your battles. But I think also be able to articulate when something bothers you and hurts you. Don't hold that in, because by the time you get to that, it's going to be explosion. Mm-hmm. And when you trust the person that you're in relationship with, whether it's friendship, whether it is something romantic, it's different coming to that person, because first of all, when it's trust in the middle, if I said something to you and said, hey, Nick, let me pull you aside and say something to you, first of all, you know my heart. Right? You know where I'm coming from. You have understanding that I'm not coming at you in that manner, first of all. And then, so the reception of even what I'm saying looks different. Do you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So within that realm of having a relationship where there's trust, that communication looked different. It looked different. It does. It looks different. Like,
it does.
Yeah, I have some of those relationships, even in friendships, that I can be like, hey, I didn't like this, but I love you. You know what I'm saying? And like, I love you, but I didn't like how I felt in that particular moment.
You see how you did it? How I felt.
Yeah.
Not what you did to me. See, you're working on it.
See, I'm working on it.
I hear you, sis.
Look at me working on my skills. Now next season when we come back, maybe I'll have it together.
I'll be like, sis, look, you said you.
No, we're gonna work on that. But I first want to thank you for coming. I want to thank you for coming and blessing the space. I mean, it's amazing. I mean, you do such amazing things with what you're doing with Women with Swag, and there's so much more ahead of you. So I'm just glad you took out.
I claim it.
I know it's coming. It's coming. So I'm happy to see that you're doing well. I love that you're going into therapy like me too. We're gonna be able to come and tag team on some stuff.
Yes, that'd be awesome.
And I know you have something coming up with Swag.
Yes.
Okay.
So I have an upcoming event with Women with Swag.
Yeah.
Actually, the theme is Swag You're It.
Swag You're It.
Right.
I like that.
I like it too. It's kind of catchy, right?
Swag You're It.
So it's on August the 29th.
Okay. So that's soon.
Yeah.
Get y'all tickets, y'all.
Very, very soon. Yes.
Yeah.
I'm going to really start promoting it this week.
Okay.
So I'm excited about it. So look
excited
out,
too.
ladies, come join. I'm
going to be there.
Like, let me just say this. This is, I've been doing this for many, many years.
Yeah.
And this here, I have linked with some awesome, I'm not lying. Like, I'm not.
We know you're not lying. This ain't the space for lies.
No lies. I have linked up with some awesome women that I've developed awesome relationships with.
Yeah, you have a great tribe.
And I am so excited about what's going to happen on the 29th. I promise you I'm not saying it just... And the crazy part about it, one thing with Women with Swag, when I have my monthly meetings, they don't know each other.
Yeah. So I love that.
Right, they don't know each other. They're coming in and they're getting to the core of things and getting to know people or other women on a whole nother level than they even thought they could possibly do it. So now they are bonding, they creating relationships on truth.
Yeah, I love that.
Right?
I love that.
They're creating places from dark places.
Yeah, I love that space.
So it's just awesome. And the women that I have, I just can't wait. I can't wait.
Y'all go follow her on, you on IG, right?
Yes.
Women with
Swag.
Women.w.swag on IG. Y'all go follow her.
Or Lady Nick, Lady Nick _777.
Yeah.
Nicole Ellis on Facebook. But
go follow, and I'll definitely be there. So what words of wisdom before we leave do we have about communication?
Communication.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna say this: communication is very big.
Yeah.
But ultimately, you have to look within and change yourself before you can change the person that you're communicating with.
Yes, I love that.
Right?
I love that.
So just stay committed. Start with you. Stay committed with you, to you, and just be great.
Yeah.
Be great. And it's work. Don't think it's going to be easy. It's work. You're going to question yourself. Yes. You're going to doubt yourself. You're not always going to feel good, but believe it or not, you're in a great place.
Yeah.
Because what happens when greatness come out, it's because we came from the storm.
Yeah.
We didn't been through the storm and then greatness. I've never been successful in a comfortable place. Never. Ever. Never.
So get uncomfortable.
Get uncomfortable. And get excited about being uncomfortable.
I love that.
So when you're uncomfortable, so tonight when, God forbid, you get bad news, or tomorrow something, just doesn't make you feel real good, smile, laugh, because joy is coming.
Yeah.
So you'll be good.
Get comfortable in the uncomfortable. I like that.
Yes.
I like that.
I'm telling you, get excited.
I like that.
Get excited. So thank you, and I'm proud of you as well. This is your space. This is what you do, and you are great at it. I'm excited about your future, and I know you have some awesome things coming. And I'm going to be right there. I'll be right there on your tail, like what we doing? What you doing? Let me see.